Start recording.
Okay.
Awesome. So your first question, if you could just introduce yourself, tell me who you are, what you do, and where you're from as well towards your camera, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, my name is Georginda Pierce Jones. I am originally from a tiny community called Huerfano here on the Navajo Reservation in New Mexico. And I'm 37.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, sorry, that was me. I'm recording this end just in case as well. There we go. Sorry about that.
And I'm 37. I've got 6 kids, and I am a server at Chili's Grill and Bar.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And just remember to kind of answer it towards your thing camera. I think you are doing. So obviously we found you on TikTok and Instagram under the, you're promoting yourself as a survivor, which you definitely are. And this show's about survivors. So say a 13-year-old is kind of watching this and says, what does it mean to be a survivor? How would you describe that to them? And it's a bit of a tough one, that one.
How to describe being a survivor? Being able to accept it, being able to accept what has happened to you, and being able to overcome it, become stronger, wiser, and make better choices, and understanding that you're still alive, and thankful that you're still alive, and that if you could get through that, overcome it, you are a survivor, and it only gets better from here. There's only one way to go, is up.
Absolutely, that was great. Thank you so much. No, it's a bit of a tough question, that one. And what type of survivor would you say you are?
I am a survivor of being stabbed in my face, and I am also a survivor of, growing up being sexually molested, and also a survivor of domestic violence, and I had listened to my children, and they had told me that, they were molested by my ex-husband, and there's just no way I could not believe them, and I took him to jail, I helped put him away. He's in prison for 35 and a half years now.
Well, that's amazing and for doing that, and obviously I'm so sorry to hear all this. So thank you for opening up. I know it can be quite hard as well to a stranger online. So yeah, how would you describe obviously domestic violence and sexual abuse as well to a 13-year-old, in case they might not know? I know it sounds quite a strange, just like a definition. For example, some people say, someone you for domestic violence, just to give an example, like someone you love and trusted turning against you, that kind of thing. How would you describe what both those things are to a teenage girl or teenage boy watching?
How would I describe dealing with domestic violence and being sexually molested at 13? It's something to it's hard. It's hard because you don't think that anything like that would ever happen to you, because it's, always a family member, it's always a close friend. It just seems like it's always in that inner circle that somebody always seems to do that to you. I mean, at least that's what I think. But growing up and being a teenager and witnessing domestic violence and being sexually abused, I wish I had a person like me to help me when I was that age, because there was nobody there. I just kind of had to deal with it, and I grew up with it. But nowadays, I encourage younger ones, the younger generations, even my own children, that if it's wrong, it feels wrong, it's wrong. And you got to tell somebody you can trust. If you can't tell your mom or your dad, tell your school counselor. I mean, tell everybody. I mean, that's just my opinion, because just because one person doesn't want to listen or doesn't believe you, go to somebody else. Keep telling until somebody hears you, until you get heard, until something is done for you, because you don't want to grow up being an adult dealing with those childhood trauma, and it's not a healthy way of living.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So yeah, as I said, our audience is quite young, so the hope of the show and you telling our stories, you can speak to those people. So now we're going to start getting into, if you don't mind, what happened to you and your ex-boyfriend, and what he did to you, pretty much. So to kind of set the scene, would you mind kind of telling us, how you met him, kind of what your relationship was like before that? Because a lot of people, I think, have this misconception that it's going to be horrible from the get-go, but sometimes it's not. So if you could just talk us through, what your relationship was like with him and meeting him.
Well, I met him back in 2002. It's been about 19 years ago, and I met him through his sister, because we kind of all went to school together back on the reservation, and he became, my friend, and we got to know each other. We would talk, and over the years, our friendship grew, and we got closer, and not once did I ever see that he was that type of a person, because I never saw it. Because if I did see it, I wouldn't have gotten to a relationship with him at all. And so we've been friends for so long, for 19 years, and this past July 23rd of this year, we decided to go and have some adult time. We went out to the casino and got away from my, life, home, kids. Thought I'd take a break, enjoy myself as an adult. So we went to the casino, hung out for a bit, and we gambled, had a few adult drinks, and on the way home, honestly, I don't know what happened in the casino. I looked for him. I don't know what happened. It was definitely different that night, because it was like a light switch turned on in him. And we were only dating for 3 months. He was my friend for 19 years, and we decided to become more, and we were dating 3 months, and we were going home after the casino, and we got into an altercation. We started arguing. I don't know what happened, honestly. It was like a light switch. It just he just became somebody else. And my brother was with us, and we stopped at a convenience store, and we were both sitting in the back. My brother was the driver, and we were sitting in the back seat, and my brother went inside the store, and once my brother got off the vehicle, he just looked at me, and he said to me, "Do you want me to get off here? Do you want me to get off here?" And I'm looking at him and at that point, I've been through so much stuff in my past. I'm not going to beg anybody at all. So I told him, I was like, you know what, if you want to get off, then get off. I don't know, I guess he wanted me to beg him and tell him, no, please don't leave me, stay with me. I guess that's what angered him, and I did not think that he was going to do what he did, but I looked out the window, and once I turned back towards him, all I seen was a splash of the Corona bottle that he had busted. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you how in the heck he busted that Corona bottle, because there was really nothing in my vehicle for him to bust it with. I mean, I think he just did it, turned into the Hulk. I don't know. And it happened so fast, and once I turned back, he just, bam, got me right in my face. Right in here. And at that moment, I was so, I didn't feel it, because it happened so fast, and it took time for my brain to comprehend that I was gushing blood out of my face, and I didn't even know it. And when I finally got out of the car, because after he stabbed me, he was beating me. I had my head down, and then that's when we start, I was defending myself. That's when he tried to stab me here, and then on my arm right here. So it's just kind of it's hard to kind of relive these things, because I have to make sure I gotta keep my composure. And I got out, because the only thing I could think of was open the door, open the door. That's all I could think of while we were fighting. Well, he was hitting me in the back of my head. And when I finally opened the door, that's when he jumped out of the passenger door. And I just remember getting off, looking towards him, because when I got out, I thought he was going to come around the vehicle after I got out, and I thought he was going to finish me off. So I stopped and I looked, but when I looked, he was like literally running into the darkness. It was at night. I can't remember what time it was, but that's the last time I saw him. And I ran into the convenience store, and I remember the clerk's face. Oh my goodness. As a matter of fact, I should go over there and tell her thank you. But she was really, really, she was afraid. She looked really scared. Like, I just saw her face, and I just told her, don't just stand there, call the police. And she's just like, she was in shock. And I would be too if I would have saw me. And so, sorry, I have an incoming call. I don't know who that was, but I just declined it.
It's right.
And so, yeah, and I just, there was just blood everywhere, and then by the time I looked into the mirror, that's when I was like, oh my God, what happened? And because, like, you know how, like, you get a bottle and you push it into something and you pull it out and it kind of drags, it pulls, I don't know what that's called, but so when he stabbed me with that bottle, when he pulled it back out, like, all of my muscles, or like my fat in my face, I don't know, it just like all came out. So I had this big old chunk just hanging out of my face. It was bad. I was complete shock, because I was like, holy moly, where is that coming from? I thought, honestly, that he stabbed me in my neck. That's what I thought. I thought, man, I'm going to die. I am going to die. And then all I could think about was my kids, their future. It was hard. But by the time EMTs had showed up on the scene, that's when they just put me in the ambulance, and they took me, and that's when my kids met me at the hospital, and that's when they cleaned me up, and that's when I seen how it looked, and I was just like, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah. And like, you think you know somebody. You think you know somebody because you were friends for so long. You think that they're not going to treat you the way others treated you because they were the person that you kind of reached out to and that you talked to because he was my friend. And I did not think that he would ever do this to me. And that's what upsets me the most, is because we had this friendship, and yet, out of the relationships I've had and getting my butt kicked by them and getting beat up and thrown around, like, he was the one that I told, and that he was the one that I said, and he gave me feedback. He gave me, just hang in there, you're okay, you're strong, and this and that. And then all of a sudden we decided to be more than friends, and because I figured, if he was able to give me that kind of advice, then, maybe we're meant to be together. But it turns out that he was the worst of it all. It's like the mastermind of manipulation. You really don't know anybody, no matter how long you know them. I found that out.
Absolutely. I know how hard it can be to bring this up, and your story, is incredible. If you don't mind us kind of just going back, just so we can have clarification and make sure, we tell it 100% accurate. If you can just take us back to the casino, that kind of night. So you were just having fun. Was it just with two of you? And then did you say your brother came and picked you up from the casino to drive you back to your house, or was it his house? Or
no? Well, I have my own place. My brother stays with me too. And that night we went to the casino. My brother was my driver, my DD, because I was like, it's my day off. I'm going to enjoy myself. I have a house full of kids, and, they're good. They're fed. They had their dinner. They got their movies. They'll be fine. So I had some extra money set aside. So I said, I like to go, and I like on my spare time when I have money and everything's good, I like to go and enjoy myself at the casino. And so we went, and I asked my brother to drive me. So my brother agreed. He said, all right. So my brother was our DD. He took us. We sat in the back, and we went to the casino. We gambled. We had fun. We ate dinner there again. And it was just like an adult time. And like I said, he went to go get another beverage, and I was still at the slot machine, and I told him that go ahead and go get one, I'll be here waiting. He never came back. And I remember thinking, where did he go? Like, it's been like almost 30 minutes and I've been sitting here and he's still. So I cashed out and I went to go look for him, and then I ran into my brother. Not him, not the guy I was with, but. And I asked him, I was like, do you know where so and so is? And then he was like, I don't know, I thought he was with you. And I was like, well, can you help me find him, because he hasn't come. He went to get a drink and he never came back. So we went and looked for him, and then I didn't find him, but all of a sudden in front of me I saw my brother and him walking towards me, and he looked upset. I can't even tell you why he was upset, because he was just mad. And he, I said, well, let's go home. Let's get out of here. So we go out, and we get back into the vehicle, and we start our way back home. It's about a 45-minute drive from the casino that we were at. We were in Ignacio, Colorado, and it's about a 45-minute drive from Bloomfield. That's where I live. And we were coming back from the casino, and I kind of like just ignored him, just try to not even bother with him, because I can't tell you what would happen. I don't know, maybe somebody called him, maybe he got a text message from somebody. I don't know what happened between the time he left and the time I found him. And then, like I said, he was upset, and I don't know why. And I tried asking him, but he's just like, he didn't want to talk to me. And I feel like he had a lot to say to me when nobody was around, but when my brother was present, he was real quiet. And so our drive home was pretty awkward, because like, are you listening to me? Like, are we going to talk about this? But he just sat there like, no, I'm not talking to you, because I'm going to get off in Aztec. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know. And then we got to the store, and then my brother got off to go get himself an energy drink, and that's when everything just happened so fast. And not once did I ever think he would do what he did to me.
I mean, yeah, that is a crazy story. And I'm guessing your brother was still in the store.
My brother was still in the store.
Yeah, how did he react when he saw you? Talk us through that.
Well, when I got off the vehicle, and I'm just like, my face is just squirting everywhere, and I run into the convenience store. Like I said, I saw the lady, and I looked at her, and I was like, don't just stand there. It's like, call the ambulance. And she's just like, poor thing. Like, I'm pretty sure I traumatized her too. But I just heard that's when my brother was like, Joni. And he like ran around the chips, and I just seen my brother come out of and he just like dropped his soda or his energy drink, and he was just like standing there looking at me like, oh, what happened to you? And I was like, he did this. Who did? And I was like, he did. And he was like, oh, what? And he just like ran out of the store, went to go look for him. But he was, like I said, he was already gone. He fled the scene. And even to this day, he's still not captured. I've called FBI. I've called the local police station. All they tell me is that he's got a felony warrant on him nationwide. But there's really nothing that they could do. They have no jurisdiction to go onto the Navajo reservation to get him.
Well, I mean, I'm so sorry about that. I know how tough that's. Must be really hard knowing that it's not over and he's still there.
Yeah.
If you can talk us through being at hospital, and I know you from your GoFundMe, you're wanting to go through quite a few bits of surgery, and these medical costs are so high. So could you talk us a little bit about how long you were in hospital and that initial kind of when you first got admitted, and then a little bit about what you're going through now and if you're still going through surgeries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, when I got to the hospital, I remember just laying there, and I kept, like I had so much pain in my face, and I could just feel like this whole side of my face and my neck was just like really swollen. And the nurse there, she was a sweetheart. I can't remember her name. I wish I got her name. But She was like, we're not going to touch you. She's like, we're not going to touch you. And I would rather have a professional, someone that's good with this, somebody that's good to putting back your face back in, sewing it up. And she was like, so we're going to fly you out to UNM Hospital, the University of New Mexico Hospital in Albuquerque. So it took about an hour, and then Air Care took me out there. I was flown out to, I got to fly for the first time in my life, but not the way I wanted to. So I got to UNM, and I was there overnight, and I had 3 plastic surgeons come in, and they, just kind of covered my face up where they could just see where my injury was. And I could just, just like listening to them talk about how they were going to do it, how they were going to put it back in. It was terrifying. And, just being shot in my face, like, like numbness, pain to numb my face up. Like just that alone was painful, excruciating pain, because I was like, okay, so I've given birth 6 times. But this hurts. And they were just like, I know, it hurts, I'm sorry. But it was, they cleaned me up, and they put it back in my face, and they sewed it all back up. And for about a good month, I was really swollen. And it started to turn into a scab. It turned into a big black scab, and slowly over time it fell off. But I still have that scar. And right now, today, I don't really feel much. It's like nerve damage. Yeah, nerve damage, and I'm kind of paralyzed on this side. So it was like, so when I talk, I have to kind of like try to make my, how would I say this, like force my face to move, because otherwise it kind of just droops. So I don't know. And the doctors had told me that maybe in time you'll start to get your feeling back, but there's really nothing we could do about that. It's just time. But your stab wound, and us putting it back together and sewing it back up, we're hoping that it'll heal really good. But other than that, they're like, something you're just gonna have to live with probably for the rest of your life is probably gonna have nerve damage in your left side. And it bugs me, because like I can't, like I wish it didn't happen, because I wish it didn't happen to me. And I don't want it to happen to anybody else. And that's what angers me the most, is because he's still out there. He's still free after stabbing me in the face. And I'm just afraid for another female. If he could do this to me, who knows what he could do to another person. And that's all I want. All I want for him is to get caught. And I want my justice.
Absolutely. It's definitely 100% deserved. Fingers crossed it does happen. And of course, you said you've been going through all these surgeries, and I'm guessing medical costs are super high. And I know you've been struggling with that. How has that, plus, what you've been through, affected you mentally, if you don't mind, us touching on that?
Mentally, oh my goodness, emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. It just really, it really eats at me. I don't know, like, I have to be able to pull myself together mentally. And there's times when I'm, I have my emotional days to where it's like, if only it didn't happen this way. If only I would have been smarter. If only, you have all these questions to yourself. But at the end of the day, I have to remind myself that, that I'm alive, that my kids still have their mom, and that I've been through so many situations, and I was able to get out of it and become stronger, and have the wisdom, and be able to have the strength to go out and tell others that, there is a possibility that, you really don't know anybody. And it takes a toll on you mentally, because I'll never, honestly, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to be in a relationship because I just feel like it just never worked out. Or maybe I'm just messing with the wrong ones. So,
And yeah, I mean, you obviously can never blame yourself, but I know you have kids as well. Have you spoken to your kids, or especially maybe your daughters and your sons as well, actually, about what happened? Do you know what did happen? Have you ever spoken to them about this and kind of the risks there are out there?
yeah. I talk to them a lot. My oldest daughter's 21. So, she's had her share of relationships. She's been through a little bit of this and that, but nothing to the extent of me. And I kind of think that that's why she holds her guard up. She's very, very independent. She has two jobs, got her own ride, got her own home. She no kids, and she just says to me like, I don't want to go through what you went through, so I'm gonna do it this way. And to me, it's like good, good. And so she just kind of stopped with the whole dating game too, because she's like, they're too relationships are too much, And then, but she's there for me. She's my baby girl, even though she's as old as she is. And then there's my 19-year-old. She's got a daughter. And I think for her, she was really traumatized because the whole stabbing happened in my vehicle. And when they had took me into the ambulance, my brother had drove the vehicle to my daughter's apartment, and she went down to the vehicle to go and see if I was in it, and she said that she opened it and she said, "There's just so much blood everywhere. Where is my mom?" And my brother was like, "They took her." And then I guess my brother was like so traumatized that he couldn't even talk to my daughter either. And when she saw all that blood in the vehicle, she was like, "And you left her? You left my mom? Where is she? Like, there's so much blood. And my daughter wouldn't even get in my vehicle after I got it back. She was like, "I don't want to get in that vehicle because all I could see is all that blood." But I'm like, we cleaned it. Like, it's not. Look, I'm alive. I'm here. But she's traumatized too. So then my other daughter, she's 16, and like she's just been. She's the one that really clings to me. She clings to me. She um often asks me how I'm doing, and she doesn't like me to be by myself. She's kind of like that one. She's that kid that has always been there, and I guess we have like a really close connection because she, at the time, she's 16 now, but when she was 7, I was attacked in my home, and she happened to be there. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would have been killed then. But she ran out of the house to the neighbor at 2 o'clock in the morning at 7 years old, banging on the door, telling them to call the police. So just the things that they've witnessed and the things that they've seen, they weren't always good. Because, I think I just meet the wrong kind of guys. And when they see that, they've seen it, I'm glad that they expressed their feelings about it. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to meet that. I don't want to be in that situation, because we're with you and we saw everything that happened to you, and Mom, we're gonna do things differently. And I'm like, good. I want you guys to, because that's all I want, is you guys to have a healthy relationship and be loved and be cared for and be taken care of, as well as you do the same thing for the other person too. And then my son, who's 14, they weren't with me. All they knew was that Mom was in the hospital, something happened, stay home, and we'll be back. So my daughters came out, and the boys, they stayed behind. But when I came back from the hospital, they had a lot of questions, and I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. I basically told them what happened. because I feel like they deserve the truth. So I told them. And they were angry. I mean, they were little boys. They're 14, 10, but they're really angry. They were like, moments like, like, this is the moment where I wish I was older, where I wish I could go and do something. And it's like, look, I'm okay. I'm fine. Your mama's here. So, it's just their way of expressing their emotions, because they were scared for me. And they were just like wondering why I wasn't home and why I was in the hospital. So, but to this day, it's been 4 months now. And I just feel like, I and my children, we've gotten stronger. We've gotten closer. We're able to, I have a really close relationship with my kids. I don't hide nothing from them. And when they want to tell me something and something's bugging them, or, I'm training them to be more vocal. Like, if you're unhappy, say it. If you're upset, tell me why. What is it that I could do to make it better for you? Because, growing up on the Navajo reservation, we were constantly being told, shh, you don't talk about that. Shh, we're not going to go that way because we don't want to hear it. But my parenting techniques are, that didn't help me. I mean, why do you think I grew up with so much struggles? Is because I was always told, you don't talk about that. We don't want to hear it. Don't be going out and telling anybody. But I became different because I told myself that, I'm going to be the person I needed when I was a little girl. And that's just my mentality. And so for anybody out there, I always encourage every child that I come across or that I'm able to sit down and talk to. If there's something bugging you, something's wrong, tell somebody. Tell, no matter if it hurts. As embarrassing or as scary as it is, tell. You have to tell, because you don't want to live with that. I did when I was younger, and when I got older, I was able to actually do something about it. So today, I tell my kids, whatever you see, something happening, tell. Tell me, and we'll go tell somebody else. We'll go to law enforcement. I mean, it's a situation, like these type of things, they're kind of like hush hush on the reservation. It's a little weird. I mean, watching my aunties and my mom go through, being raped and being beat up by their brothers and their uncles. Nobody ever told. It's just always been quiet. And me as a child, I wish I was older and used to think like, man, I can't wait to grow up, because I would tell on you, and like I had this whole thing in my head. But to this day, it's like, I support every child that says that they were molested. And there's not one single, there's not one single doubt in my mind when a child says, help me, I was touched. I react.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, your kids and your family, you've got there, they sound so amazing, so resilient, and sounds like a really strong kind of neck you've got there, so that's incredible. And I know we touched on, being believed in reporting and how important that is. Just could you kind of talk through what happened when you reported, and kind of, I know he's still unfortunately on the run, but what was the process like for you? I think some people are quite scared to report things like this sometimes, so if you could maybe talk about that process.
Which one? What part?
And when you reported, how you dealt with these and how they've been handled.
Well, the scary part about that was, so my son, he's 14 now, right? This, he was the one that told, I've asked my daughters, like, are you, because, like a mother's intuition, we can feel it. I felt it. I'm not really quiet about it. So when I asked my ex-husband, what's going on? Because I kind of feel like you're doing something, or, something, there's a secret. And he was looking at me like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You're just being dumb. And then I asked my daughters, and my daughters were like, no, we're okay, Mom. Nothing's happening. Because, of course, he went and told my kids that if they told me that he was going to, he was going to kill me. So my daughters didn't tell me anything because that's what he had told them. And so back to my 5-year-old son, he's 14 now. He went and told my sister that, you know how people get pregnant? Well, that's what Travis was doing to my sister. Travis is my ex-husband. And my sister freaked out. My sister came to me, and I couldn't do anything about it at that time. But I did. I went straight to, I called the sheriff's office. I called the police. And you know what really disappointed me was when I told law enforcement. They located him, and they just went up to him and they said, "Oh, well, she's saying that you're touching her daughter," and of course he denied it. And all law enforcement did was, "Well, he's saying that's not happening, so I can't really arrest him," and they let him walk. So I needed to figure out a way to get him in jail. So I went straight to CYFD. It's called Children, Youth, and Family Services here in New Mexico. I told them, I said, my husband apparently has been having, intimate with my 12-year-old. At the time she was 12. And because the cops didn't do nothing for me. So I had to go deeper. And I did not know that they were going to remove my kids from me, but it was a risk that I was going to take because that was the only way to help my kids. So I told CYFD, they got a detective on it, and finally the detective located him, and he finally spilled his guts to the detective and said, yeah, this is what I've been doing to her, and she doesn't, the mom doesn't know, and it just turned into this big old thing. And then once I was told that he confessed, CYFD called me and said that we're going to remove your children. We're taking your kids because they were saying that I was unfit and unstable, that I couldn't care for my kids. So that's why it was just like a big old, everything just happened all at once. You know what I mean? I was able to get him arrested, but they took my kids from me because I didn't protect them. And it's not because I didn't protect them, it's because I didn't know. I didn't know that that's what was happening in my home. My toilet bowl is making funny noises.
Okay, no worries. Wow, I know hopefully this story can come out and help a lot of people. There's that you took that risk, but now you have everyone's with you and it's all okay.
Yeah, and it took me 3 years. It took me 3 years, and I got my kids back. I got them all back one at a time because they were like, I had to go through loads and loads and loads of therapy. Lots of therapy. Anger management, parenting, codependency, drug and alcohol abuse. I had to go through sexual, abuse counseling. I had to do, it was a lot. And I had to graduate, and I had to show CYFD that here's my paperwork. I'm doing it. And then they would keep an eye on me, making sure I was in class. It wasn't fun having people watch you live your life because they were like, she's not doing this. She didn't do that. How are we going to trust her? And I completely understand it now. I really didn't like them at first. But at the same time, today, I thank them for doing that. I thank them for removing them from me because I needed to work on me too. And that was the time I was able to do it. That's why I say it took me 3 years to get them all back, but I got them back. Now they're all home with me, living their best life, going to school, getting whatever they want whenever they do what I ask them to do. I mean, they got tours, and there's times we talk about it. We sit down at the table and we sit down as a family, and sometimes my 10-year-old, he likes to. Um, he's really vocal about his emotions and stuff. So whenever he like something triggers a certain memory, he'll be like, "Oh, you remember that time?" And then we'll talk about it. I never deny my kids. I never say, "Be quiet. Shh. We don't want to talk about it. It's over and done with." I'm a believer in, if he wants to talk about it, that's his way of his therapy. I don't know what the heck is going on in there.
Okay, so it's how it happens when you live with kids and everyone's at home. It's honestly absolutely fine.
Really? That's weird. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. I suppose my kind of lasting question, and before I kind of move it over to you, if there's something else you wanted to talk about, is just what advice would you give about obviously what you've been through with your, the ex and your face, but just in general, how can people stay positive? I know it's quite a cringy kind of question, but what advice would you give to a young teenager watching and how they can stay positive?
How to stay positive and how to move forward with your life after something so traumatic and traumatizing. I think the one thing that gets me through every day is getting up and praying and accepting what has happened. Because if you sit there and you tell yourself, I wish it didn't happen, I wish, like you're constantly beating yourself up, it lingers. But you become smarter. You get out there and you accept who you are and accept your flaws, accept who you've become, and you use it as a tool. You use it as an ammo to better yourself, and just know that things, life isn't always bad. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good in everything that comes out of bad. There's a lot of good that can come out of bad. Does that make sense? Am I saying it right? Yeah. And making better choices and just having that positive mindset and being able to, go out and share your story, because a lot of people don't know how to talk about it. They're afraid to talk about it. Maybe they're embarrassed to talk about it. They're scared, they're embarrassed. But at the end of the day, you wake up in the morning and you live that life. You do what you got to do, go to school, go to work, be a parent, do whatever you do in your daily routine, and at the end of that day, you made it through. Even if it was hard, you made it through. And I think a lot of people, or I think that whatever's happened to you that was bad, flip it, make it into something good. It's hard. It's hard because we like to hold on to all the bad stuff, all the negative stuff, because a lot of people want to use that to get attention. Or actually, I don't know. I really can't say that, but all I can say is that the way I handled it, as I was able to grab it as much as I didn't want it, as much as it hurt me, as much as it destroyed how I feel like it could destroy me. I used it to tell other people, like this has happened. This is what happened. But I'm alive and I'm okay and my kids are okay and I'm happy where I'm at now. You can get through it. We're humans. We have our ups and downs, but we get through it at the end of the day, because we get to sleep in our bed. We get to get up in the morning and drink our coffee and be thankful that we woke up to a brand new day.
That was a really lovely way of saying it, actually, so thank you for that. Is that, and kind of, I don't normally have like a list of questions, like obviously kind of let you kind of speak, but is there anything else that you want to touch upon? I'm thinking we kind of covered most of the points I felt like we needed to. Is there anything that you want to speak about with kind of your time to answer any questions or speak on anything?
Well, becoming a young mother when I was 16 years old, losing my first love. He passed away in a head-on collision. I was 4 months pregnant with my oldest daughter. Losing him, feeling that pain of loss, something that I never, ever, ever want to feel again, because that was very, very painful for me. It's been 21 years and I have not forgotten him, or how his face looked, or just his whole feature. I still remember it. And that, losing your first love, that, and the way it happened, it killed me. It killed me inside. But I had to keep going because I had a child inside of me. And, and then moving on and having another daughter with my first marriage, and experiencing smoking methamphetamine. It was a struggle. We didn't last. It was only like 2 years, but we divorced because there was just no way we could do it together, and we agreed on it. So we split, and then I ended up moving on with my 2 daughters and got into a relationship, had 2 more kids with him, and it was just, I just felt like it just kept getting worse and worse. But I was having children, and I guess I just had that hope. I had that hope that it wouldn't, that not all people are the same. But I did understand that everybody is different, and they all have, they're just, I don't know. I just kind of feel like the ones that I've met were just the bad ones. And I've given them children. And I've hung on, and I've held on, because I had the hope that they would change, and that we would last, and that we would make it. It was just another one that just didn't work out. I don't know what God has in for me, but He's given me 6 kids, and I've never given up, and I won't give up.
Absolutely. I mean, you're incredibly strong. Oh, sorry, hello. Sorry, my laptop closed down. Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to cover? If not, we can kind of do our sign off, and then I can start speaking to you about our next steps as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm okay.
If what kind of tends to happen, if maybe you're going on your day, kind of later on, you're like, I really wish I want to get this out, you can literally just, for example, pick my phone up, you can literally just pick your phone up and record yourself like you have been doing already, and then send that additional footage over to us as well. And we can include that as well. So don't worry. Sometimes, I'll come off a call, or you'll come off a call like, oh, I really wish I said that. Sometimes your heart just, it'll come later on in the day. So don't worry, you can always send those off to us as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so before we kind of stop recording, I know it's going to be a really long one. It's just to say our sign off if you can. It's just to encourage other people to come forward as well. This is my survival story. What's yours? So if you could just repeat that into your camera.
What do you want me to say again?
This is my survival story. What's yours?
Okay. This is my survival story. What's yours?
Amazing. Got it on first try. A lot of people kind of stumble over that. So yeah, you can stop your recording now if you would like to.